Welcome into the Creed of Crypto podcast, where we provide immersive, essential, and evergreen strategies for the novice cryptocurrency investor. How you doing? I am one half of your host, Boi Crypto. I have here with me, as always, Crypto Ewok. We have a lot to get to tonight. It is 2023. We've got a new year. That means we can totally turn the page on crypto. No more FTX disasters and not your keys, not your coins disasters. It is up only from here. So a lot of optimism I'm going to expect in the chat tonight. I think that's the memo that I have, is that the market is now only going to go up now that we've turned the page on the calendar. So Ewok, what do you think about that? How are you feeling about the markets generally? How are you feeling now as we are here in our first show of 2023?
Well, first off, Happy New Year to everyone.
Same here.
And I'm feeling pretty good. We do have all that other old stuff behind us. However, I don't think we've seen the worst yet still. Hate to be the bearer of bad news, but the bear market is still not over. And we've got a little bit more pain. However, I could foresee, because of the optimism recently, I could see like a little relief rally.
It's kind of happening today a little bit.
Well, yeah, and I see it continuing. I see it with Bitcoin. I see it with Hex as well. We're pushing up towards 2 cents. And I think there's going to be a little relief pump here. And then, further downside, it is what it is. It's going to be a fake out for a lot of people who think that the bottom's in, possibly, when we really haven't gotten to that true point yet. So just my thoughts. Again, Happy New Year.
Yes, Happy New Year to everybody, and we're going to get a little bit more specific with both of our thoughts on the markets right now as we are in the new year. First off, you can find me on Broke Boi, Boi Crypto, on YouTube and on Twitter. YouTube channel is dedicated to trying to attain wealth through living a minimalist lifestyle and, of course, investing in crypto. Obviously, huge fans of DeFi on this podcast. We talk a lot of Hex and a lot of other DeFi investment options. Ewok, let everybody know where they can find you as well.
Crypto Ewok pretty much everywhere. The Crypto Ewok on YouTube has a 4863 on it. If you're looking for that, give us a like the video, subscribe, tick the bell, all that good stuff. I'm a follower of DeFi as well, mostly Richard Hart products. I'm open to look at other things too, but that's mostly what I follow though. I stick with what's treated me well, and I think the new year is going to treat us even better. So,
yes. And we're going to get to that because I do agree with you there too. There's a lot of angles to the market in 2023. But as we are here right now, we just mentioned there has been a little bit of a relief. Well, maybe not a full-blown relief rally today, but we have seen elevated prices mainly on altcoins. Bitcoin is up a little bit today, about 1%, but trading at 16.8K. ETH is up to 1253 at the moment, which is a number it's been kind of holding and sticking to like a magnet for quite some time. We've been covering Hex, obviously, big time the last couple of weeks as it did. We've had some massive capitulation type stuff happen with some, beta males basically in the Hex space. It's now trading below 2 cents at this moment, 0.0192, but it's been as low as 0.017. So we're going to get to that and kind of the, I guess you will call it FUD if you want to, surrounding Hex and some other things. We will get to that. There's a lot to get into tonight. But yes, first, let's really approach where we think these markets are going to walk. You've already kind of summarized it, that you don't think the low for this whole bear market is in. The low of 2022 was about, 15.3K or something like that, which came in November, which was a time target you and I had been talking about for a long time, and we kind of hit the nail on the head with that one. Now we've been saying this month, January 2023, we've been feeling like we will be presented with new lows. Obviously, as you get more data, some people like to criticize people with different price calls as being flip-floppers or something like that. But as you get more data and you learn more things, you tend to change your opinion a little bit. That's what free thinking minds do. And yeah, so I'm with you though. I'm still thinking, as we have, that if I had to place a time on it, I do think this month we will probably see new lows. I'm even more comfortable saying that we'll see a new low in this first quarter. But yeah, this month definitely feels like it. We're getting a relief rally here. We have talked about the next Fed meeting, the FOMC meetings again on January the 31st and February the 1st. We will likely see a new rate hike. We don't know to what, but that is still about 4 weeks away. So I am with you, Ewok. We can call what's happening today a bull trap if we want to, or bear trap, or whichever one that would be. I don't know why that's confusing me. Yeah, bull trap. But yeah, I don't think anybody should be FOMOing in right now. Certainly, this isn't a day I'd be interested in DCAing. Probably the last couple of days I would have massively in November. But yeah, right now we both still agree that there's downside to head. But I think there's a lot of people, and even smart, educated traders who've been doing this stuff for a while, that I don't know if it's just the energy of turning that page to the new year, or the fact that FTX and everything can be left in 2022. But I'm sensing some optimism here and there from some people that either think the lows are now in, or that, and they're not wrong here, I don't think. How much more down do we really have if you're just talking about Bitcoin and ETH? Maybe up to 50% or so on ETH. I don't know about Bitcoin, though. I don't think we're going to see that. So what do you think, Ewok? Do you agree that people have reason for optimism now? I know you don't think the lows are in, but just give me your more detailed sentiments about the market here in January.
Well, I mean, just looking at Bitcoin here, there's a lot of resistance at this level, this 18,000. If we can even get up into here,
Right.
We'll see how far this goes. This little relief rally isn't much, though. I mean, it is a couple green candles in a row, but there is some major resistance here, about 18,500 in this vicinity. I think it could get up to that and then just fall, which would be, if it goes down to 10 grand, that's almost a 45% drop from there.
Yeah.
So I do agree with you, probably in the ETH range, though. Again, there's a lot of resistance up here at these levels where it's tried to get up. It broke through it once and then just fell.
Right.
So 50% from here, which does put us right around that 600 level. There's a lot of DeFi stuff happening, though, that keeps the ETH world alive. It keeps the price and everyone buying Ethereum to do their transactions. So that does have a lot to do with it. There is probably some reason for optimism, but I just think it's a false. I think there's just so much hope that's going on for all of this stuff to be kind of over with. And and we've been saying it for a while, that I just don't think we've reached quite that max pain yet. It hasn't played out enough to get to that point. I just don't think so. I think we are going to see, moving through the rest of this month, I think things are going to pull up a little bit and then pull back. Someone had mentioned the other day, but can Hex really go down any further? But what I see happening is everything's going to kind of run up a little bit. And then when that last drop happens, it's not going to be lower than what it is now. It could come back to these levels. I think maybe a hair lower. I don't really see it going sub penny, though. Just don't see it.
Mm-hmm.
Could be wrong. I don't have a crystal ball, but just my thoughts and what's going on. I think there's just so much optimism of the new year and hopium that's happening, but I think it's a little premature. I don't think we're there yet.
You brought up a really good point. I think you're right about it. Just kind of, mainly talking about just human emotion and no numbers or anything really involved, or charting or anything. I think a lot of people just want this to be over. I think it's just wishful thinking and the hopium, exactly like you said, that it's been so bad. I mean, 2022 was horrible. And let's face it, a lot of the people that experienced it, it was the first time they experienced anything like that in crypto. It's their first crypto bear market, and it was a bad one. I mean, 2022 was a bad year, FTX and all. So yeah, I think a lot of it, Ewok, is exactly what you said. I think it's just wishful thinking that people want this to be over, not as much critical thinking. Now, that said, and we've illustrated this point on this show the last few weeks too, I don't think it behooves anybody to be DCAing into the market right now. I don't think, if you're a bag holder of, let's just say, Ethereum from almost 5K to now, Okay. Like you are so far down on that buy order at this point that who cares if you like $1,200 Ethereum is fantastic. I think you agree. $1,200 Ethereum for the short and even long term is a good deal. I think most of us agree with that. And I think we both agree that we're going to get like a 10K Ethereum in the next bull market. I mean, like absolutely. We both have talked about the flipping. We've talked about Ethereum flipping Bitcoin ultimately at some point. You just talked about all the DeFi stuff going on Ethereum because people are using Ethereum. People are using DeFi. And if 2022 taught people anything, is to stop believing all these shysters that are in the classical financial markets that come into crypto and extract your money from you and to believe in DeFi. So, yeah, are you going to be, how mad are you really going to be? I should just say this. You shouldn't be all that mad if you buy Ethereum at 1,200, 1,250 and it goes to 600. Like, yeah, in the short term, that sucks, but have a little bit of a forward thinking. I mean, this thing was $4,800 not even a year and a half ago, So
but it always sucks when you can get twice as much, just by waiting a little bit. So again, I never recommend putting all your bag in at one time, no matter what the price is, especially when there's not confirmation of being out of this downtrend. Play around a little bit, dabble. Yes, get your feet wet. If you haven't gotten into crypto at all, sure. I mean, it's not going to hurt to get a little bit in there, save some of your bag. And what happens when you do that is you drastically decrease your entry point as it goes down. So there's nothing wrong with, like you said, dipping the feet in the water and testing it out. But again, be prepared that if it does go down, that you're not pissed off at yourself or upset that you bought a little higher than you probably could have, or should have, or didn't take the opportunity to wait just a little bit longer.
And I think having that right mindset all comes from having an actual plan from the get-go. If you're going to be a holder of Ethereum until this, 5 years from now, or if when you want to take profits on it ultimately, and you only take profits at that time, you should be confident in your buys no matter when you make them. If you believe in Ethereum, which if you're watching this show, my guess is you likely do, just have conviction in your buy orders, regardless of what happens in the short term, because 6 months is short term.
Sure.
That's just going to be a short term thing.
If you have a 3 to 5 year plan, you're right. You're totally spot on. That little bit isn't going to matter probably down the road that far. As long as you have a long-term mindset, you're going to be fine.
I do want to ask you this, and it's funny that you kind of already started to hit on this, Ewok, because I had this in the notes too. There's been a lot of relative to Bitcoin strength with Ethereum for some months now. I mean, we're going on 6 months really since the lows of, man, I'm almost forgetting this now. I guess it was June of 2022 when we first had the 17.6K BTC, which seems like so long ago now. But at that time, ETH dropped below $900. I mean, we had a whole day on a weekend, I remember, where ETH was $850 to $875. We've seen so much strength with Ethereum since then because of obviously the merge of the news, which did the news of the merge. I think I said that back. That happened in September. So there's been so much strength with Ethereum since then. I mean, I almost can't believe this. We saw it run up to 2K. I forget when that was. I think that was probably leading into the merge, if I remember. But yeah, it ran up to 2K. There was probably that resistance point you had up a minute ago. I forget. But yeah, so now we're the whole way back down to 1,200, trading below the 200-week MA for Ethereum. But my point is that we've seen so much strength with ETH, and while seeing new lows for Bitcoin since November, ETH hasn't gone lower, I don't believe, than $1,100 again since then. So my question to you would be, how confident, there's people out there that have called for a low in this bear market of 450 for ETH and stuff like that. I personally, I think that's a pipe dream. I don't think there's any way Ethereum goes that low. I guess I could see hypothetically if Bitcoin if it's the big bloodbath that some people are expecting and we get to 11K, I maybe could see ETH wicking to 650 or something like that. But I think my median scenario for something like ETH is maybe just if we get new lows, that ETH just touches that same low that it hit back in June of 2022 of about 850 or so. I don't know. It's just looked so good. And
Yeah.
I also wrote the notes. Another an L2 that I like a lot, obviously, is Polygon Matic. There's a lot of money and stuff behind Matic as well. It was 30 some cents back in June of 2022. I just don't see a way that comes back. There's people calling for that to happen again too. All this stuff was announced for Polygon and like all this Disney backing and everything. I just don't see. I think some people are just like kind of throwing darts because they saw those numbers back then and assuming that's what we're going to get again. Some of these had a lot of real life tangible things happen with them in the interim. And I don't think that means just because BTC finds a new low that those are also going to find a new low.
Yeah, and you have to keep don't have a short-term memory either, because Disney backing something isn't always the best thing. I remember they said the same thing about Dragon Chain in 2017, that Disney was behind it, and it was the premier platform to onboard these new websites and things like that. It didn't do much. In fact, it's gone way down ever since. So I don't even think it did anything in the last bull run at all. So I don't know. I do agree with what you're saying. But we still, you almost have to have that final capitulation down to that certain percentage. I mean, until things are different, they're gonna probably be very close to the same.
Are you crapping on my Disney fandom? Because I'm a big Disney guy.
I'm a big Disney guy too. I have kids that love it and been to Disney several times. But that was one of my things. I thought this Dragon Chain thing would be amazing. Disney.
I think I remember you talking about it. I think I remember that.
Yeah, I had bought a fair amount back then, and it just didn't pan out at all. So
well, hey, 2017 versus 2022. I believe a lot more. I'm not just saying that Disney is the catalyst for Polygon Matic. I'm just saying that's one of the things that's happened in the interim. I just think
that just made me think of it. That's all.
Yeah, I hear you. I just think that some people are just assuming based on like it's just people who are traders that don't really know these tokens. And I know like FA and TA are two totally different worlds, and people have disagreements and stuff in there. I'm just saying that I guess what I'm saying is don't get married to like a price that you assume is going to happen again. Because I remember, you probably do too, Ewok, back in June, I was so pissed at myself, and I still am now. Like a ETH at 850 was sitting there staring me in the face all day long, at the very least 900, and I didn't pull the trigger because I thought, no, it's going to go to 500 or 600, and it hasn't even sniffed it since. Maybe it will. I'm not saying it's not going to, but those kind of experiences, I've talked about this before, allow you to, like in November when the world was burning again and FTX happened and everything, I put in a lot of buy orders over that week or so. So
I just think if Bitcoin does come down, it's going to bring a lot of stuff with it, including Ethereum. Although, like you had mentioned, though, the strength of it has been really good. It's been pretty solid. So, we're probably not going to get that 450, 500, but I think we could still tap somewhere between 6 and 8. So if it happens again, get your powder ready.
Oh, it's ready. Yeah, it is ready and willing, actually. So
can I answer this one real quick here?
Yeah, go ahead. I don't know anything about Helium. So
Helium is a token that was created to basically, people are mining them from their homes. Okay, they have these little miners that set up essentially an Ethernet network out there. You're creating a Wi-Fi system for your neighborhood, and the hope was that if they could create enough the network, that you would have true public Wi-Fi. And in the process of doing that, you plug it into your router, puts out a wireless signal, and you mine the Helium at the same time. I'm pretty sure. But the problem is, I don't think their staking mechanism has any kind of lockups. Therefore, people just mine it and sell it. So there's a lot of selling pressure. Unless they can increase that somehow and get rid of the selling pressure, I'm not a big fan of Helium. I had another friend that approached me about this. It was a good year and a half ago, and it did make some nice runs. I think at one point if I'm not mistaken, 40, 30 to $50 a coin. And you were getting a nice chunk of it, so people were making out okay. But like I said, the sell pressure kind of took over. Bear market also took over. So we'll see what happens. If it can pull through on the next one and stay, it just might want to be one of those coins that just never comes back. So that's my thoughts on it. I just wanted to touch on that real quick before we went ahead.
Yeah, bear markets tend to take a lot of stuff with it, unfortunately, as we'll see throughout the course of this episode. But kind of getting ready to wrap up on like the short-term price action. I'm not sure what is going on with that guy, Ewok. I'm not sure if that is. I'm not sure exactly what he's talking about, but there's a lot of chats in there. So
yeah, I see that.
I already took care of it. Yeah. I saw he subscribed to my channel though, so I'm not real sure exactly what's going on there. But
I don't
think
see
we
anything bad. I think he's just rambling.
it's spammy, a little spammy. I'm not real sure, but anyway. So Bob Lucas, we mentioned him a lot on here. So big time kind of long-term trader and stuff like that. More of like a high time frame trader when it comes to Bitcoin and everything. But obviously he's kind of the creator and talks a lot about the Bitcoin cycles, the 60-day cycles, the 4-year cycle for Bitcoin, which we again have talked about a lot. The other day I sent it to you, but he had a tweet where he said that if we don't hit new lows before this upcoming 60-day cycle low on January the 10th, there's a lot of caveats here. So if we don't hit new lows by then, so like a week from today, basically, and then if we're able to break 17K, which Bitcoin almost flirted with today, then he thinks that there's a very good chance that the lows are in. There's a lot of caveats there. I'm sure you don't agree with it, but yeah, he's essentially he looks at cycles. So he believes that January 10th is going to be the cycle low. So if we don't have new lows by then, he's basically assuming that the lows are going to be in. So I respect him, and anytime I hear something he says, I definitely take it into account. I tend to not really agree with it. And honestly, looking at cycles in that way has never really done it for me. It's hard for me to kind of look at the market from that way. But what do you take from this, and how much credence do you give to his thought process there?
Not much.
Okay,
yeah. I mean, he could be right, but I think in this case, I think we talked about it on the last show. I think the cycles are going to get a little elongated this time. Obviously, we've seen that so far. It's played out more than the traditional 365-day bear market where you find that bottom and move on. We're definitely a good month and a half past that already.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, I just think it's a little bit elongated, and I think there's way too much resistance at those levels where he's talking about to not bounce off and go down even further. I rely more on the wave theory than I do the time of the cycle.
Right.
You've got to have those play out no matter how long they take. Sometimes they're more accelerated than others. Sometimes they're a little slower. But those 5-wave patterns always play out. Before we continue to the next cycle, so to speak.
Right.
That's my thought.
I'm with you there too, and I'm a much bigger fan of looking at moving averages and things like that. And it's just, I wouldn't want to bet that the bottom is in or anything like that, certainly, or behave in that manner. But interesting thought process anyway from him, nonetheless. I always feel like
it's always good to hear other, it's good to hear those different opinions, because as long as everyone's not thinking the same thing, then we're good. It's when everybody starts talking one way. So I'm kind of glad that there are other people saying, all right, it's over, when it's, when there's still people saying, no, it's not. I like to hear that difference of opinion. It's important, I think.
I agree. Yes. And you definitely have to, it's just like politics and everything that everybody does now with social media. You don't want to put yourself in any echo chamber of any one thought process. I know a lot of people in crypto completely deny that and do it anyway with all sorts of different things. But yeah, I like to surround myself with a lot of people I respect opinion and then make my own decision based on that. So I'm totally with you there. I think you should get a whole scope of what people are thinking about something if you consider them to be smart people.
Right.
So
Sure.
I want to ask you this about 2023. So 2023, inevitably, people are going to compare in terms of crypto and Bitcoin to 2019. It was 4 years ago. That was the big year after 2018, where there was just, blood in the streets every day. Our version of that was 2022 this time around. So 2023 figures to be the boring, suppressed prices, hopefully, knock on wood, not as much drama as we saw in 2022, but basically just kind of stagnation in the market. And I'm interested in this concept of, and I'm hearing more and more people use the term time capitulation, to where obviously we know price capitulation is, you're selling basically, and the pressure goes down and the prices are lower. But with time capitulation, basically people just sitting here like, this is dead. Like Bitcoin is dead, not in that, it doesn't exist anymore, but just in the fact that it's never going to pump again. This is a dead market. Look at how long we've been here. It was higher than this 5 years ago, yada, yada, yada.
Yeah.
That's why if you look at the thumbnail that we have for the show tonight and the reason we made it, I wasn't necessarily talking about will these coins survive 2023, but will people be able to survive 2023? Exactly. Yeah. Yes. And if it would stand to reason to me, and I know you and I are like this, but if you survive 2022, you should be able to survive 2023. But how much do you think crypto just not coming back quickly enough or to the level that people want to will shake people out because they're just sitting here being bag holders? And how long can you just look at whatever app it is of your choice and see that you're down 80% on a portfolio you had a year and a half ago? I mean, what do you give that? How much credence do you give that? Because I think the time thing really is going to affect people.
It is. And, if it's anything like 2019, yes, we had something to look forward to because that's when we were waiting and waiting and waiting for Hex, right? So
sounds kind of similar to now.
That being said, now that we're waiting and waiting and waiting for Pulse Chain, those people I think are going to be rewarded because we're going to have something new that we're waiting for. So it could be very similar. But yeah, it's boring when those markets are sideways like that. It's choppy as all hell. You're up, you're down, you're back and forth. Really, no gain or loss. It's just kind of sideways. If you're good at scalp trading, it's perfect environment for that. But you should be just accumulating when things are that sideways. Take your time, just accumulate during that time and take advantage of it. It is a good sign of what's coming. So, the better that you can take advantage of that type of situation, the better off you're going to be. That being said, yes, it is going to be a lot of mental fatigue for people too, because they are going to say it's not coming back. It's going to stay here forever. That mental anguish happens every time, and it does. It shakes as many people out as a really downward momentum, market as well. Yeah. So it just gets boring. People get into this. We've talked about this, but I'll say it again. People get into this because they see it as super exciting and a super easy way to make some money quickly.
Right.
And then they get in and it's like this, and it's just not that way. So, yes, it is going to shake some people out being just going sideways like that as well.
Yeah. Yeah. And I don't think it's funny because in a way, those people are right. Yes, you actually can make money very quickly in crypto compared to legacy financial markets. But since when is 2, 3, 4, 5, 8 years that long of a time, to attain that? It's I've talked about this so many times on here too, is the double-edged sword of people coming to crypto for mad gains and everything and wanting it to happen overnight. And then suddenly they're impatient, and I guess it is just these massive drawdowns and then basically an entire year of nothing, whereas Even though in the legacy financial market, it might seem like but it isn't as bumpy of a ride, I guess. But it seems like it's a long, slow trend up, even though, your money's being siphoned by like fees and inflation and things like that. But in crypto, it's like, no, you're going to get slapped up. Like you're going to get
Yeah.
slapped in the face and then just be down for like
Yeah.
2 years,
Yeah. You get slapped in the face and then you turn around, you get kicked in the nuts. And
Yeah.
it seems like it doesn't stop, and it is long, it is drawn out. But bear markets are what makes the successful. It's
Mhm.
just a matter of how long can you hang in there and and survive and just keep doing what you're doing. It is a hard time. uh, you know I keep saying this, we talked about this as well, but for people that retired on crypto, it's
Mhm.
hard. It's hard when you're not seeing that positive price action, and your bag keeps getting smaller and smaller and smaller, and there's no gains. It's hard. So a couple bull markets is what you need, really, honestly, to be able to retire to where even those dips, you're still comfortable at that level. So
Right. Yeah. And what you're reminding me of, and I don't want to accidentally go way too far into this, but whatever happens, happens. But that's what I think is so important too with crypto. You mentioned DeFi, we mentioned Hex and like airdrops. And obviously I know Ewok absolutely hates it, but Zen right now. And I'm just kind of putting words in your mouth a little bit, but that's why I think it's very important in crypto not just to be a bag holder and have your investments or anything like that, but you need to look out for some of these other opportunities. Like you needed in 2021 and frankly the beginning of 2022 to already be aware of crypto, know of Richard Hart, whether you're way into Hex or not, understanding what Pulse Chain was going to be and sacrificing for Pulse Chain, sacrificing for Pulse X, and look at it like, again, no expectation from the work of others or whatever the phrase is, but it's also like, equate it like that money is gone. Don't put in
mhm,
more than you're really willing to lose, and look
yeah,
at it like getting on the bottom rung of
yeah,
a startup. Like, and with
absolutely.
same thing with Zen right now. Like, I
It
mean, I'm not saying it's going to go anywhere. Richard Hart has accomplished way more in crypto than Jack Levin so far. I'm not doing like a PP measuring contest or anything, so please don't
no,
shit on me
yeah.
too much. But
No, there's no need to do
um,
that. But you're totally
yeah,
right with where you're going. You are constantly planning ahead. That's all
mhm,
it is, pretty much, is you're setting yourself up for, and being aware of what's going on. You said it perfectly. I don't have hate towards Zen.
I know.
I had told you, and I will reiterate this, is that it needs something, just like helium. It had to have something to stop the selling pressure, right?
Hmm.
And now I hear there's these Zen NFTs. I hear there's
Did you
um,
pick
I,
one
I,
up yet?
no, no, I haven't. But
I'm just messing
then I
with you.
hear there's
Reflection token.
reflection token, and there's other things coming. So yeah, I
Hmm.
mean, you keep aware, stay aware of what's going on. Doesn't mean you have to talk about it. Doesn't mean you have to do live streams about it.
Right.
But be aware. Be aware of what's happening around you, and get yourself in a position, when it is fractions and fractions and fractions of a penny, to be okay if it does happen to go up. It's a nice little surprise.
Hmm.
Again, you don't have to, talk about it or push it or even get family members involved in it. But this is, like I said, these times right now are when the millionaires are made, and it is
Hmm.
because they're paying attention and watching and watching what people do, not what they say, but what they do.
Right.
And that's super important. Watch where the money is flowing. Don't listen to these guys that are telling you to buy this and buy that. Watch where the money's going. It's a better signal, than listening to what they're saying.
I agree 100%. Yeah. And even, I hesitate to even go this far. And this is certainly not something I'm investing in or anything like that. I think I made a video on it when it came out. But yet another layer one, Aptos, came out with some old Facebook developer guys or something a few months ago. That was another one where if you had, I think it was a pretty confounding, complicated way to do it. But if you had a way to figure out how to get the airdrop they had or whatever, uh, or you were privy to that information, why not do it? Like there's other things going on right now that not everybody has an opportunity to get into that some people do, to get in on the ground floor, and you should do it, So that's what you have to look out for now. It's like, you've got your investment portfolio, but I also think, and I don't want to call it YOLO money or like a moon bag or something like that. It is your money. You should be intentful with it. But yeah, if it's just a small amount that you can make back in a month, put that in. Like something like Pulse Chain or Pulse X, and sacrificing for those is something you may not really get in crypto again. I mean, it's getting in on the ground floor on what could be a giant product for just buying the coins, or sacrificing for the coins. So
now, that being said, be extremely careful of some of these airdrops, because they are completely just attacks to get your seed words. You approve a transaction, and the next thing you know, they've emptied out your wallet, and it's gone. Everything's gone. So, if you're going to play around, always play around with a fresh wallet if possible. If you're trying to claim an airdrop, make sure you do research. Make sure you find out from developers, people that know how to read code, to tell you, is it safe or not? Because they will look at the code and they'll tell you. You've got to get yourself into a trusted community where there's some very intelligent people to know whether you should be touching it or don't even touch it. Sometimes the best thing to do is just hide it. Don't even look at it, because they are just they're attacks. They're vampire attacks on your wallet. So just keep that stuff in mind as well. Yes, there are chances to get some great things, but there's also chances to get wrecked on what you already hold. So weigh your risk, weigh your reward, do a lot of research. And if you're not sure, ask somebody that is. And if they're not sure, be even more careful, because, if nobody's heard of it, it'd be very leery.
Yeah, and this was definitely not to say just go around like claiming every airdrop or like getting in on the ground floor of every single thing you hear about. This is like, in the last, just to kind of give you a rate of how often something like this, in my opinion, comes up, and probably you too, Ewok, that you would want to be interested in. In the last like 2 years, it's really only been what we've named here, I think, that you and I have been interested in. Obviously Pulse X, and obviously, I know you're a little bit involved with Zen. I kind of went off the deep end a bit with it, but whatever money it is you're willing to put into it, if you deem it, we're just talking here and there. I don't even count these as, and I don't think you do either. I don't even count these as parts of my portfolio. Like I don't count the Zen tokens that I am going to get a year and a half from now as like in my portfolio. I don't even have them. I don't even count the gas and the Gwei that I've spent with ETH fees as like money for my portfolio. It was like extra money on the side that I put into Zen. There was extra money that I sacrificed for Pulse X, and I'm sure you're the same way. I mean, you don't right now count that as part of your portfolio, do you?
No, but I count it towards taxes. They are fees.
Well, yes. Yeah.
So
totally. Yeah. We're going to get into that too. Yeah.
Yeah. But no, you don't. It'd be like counting chickens before the eggs hatch.
Right. Yeah. So that's really the moral of it, is like, it's all well and good to wait out this bear market and be here. That's definitely valuable, and holding onto your bags and DCAing in more again, but keep your eyes peeled for big opportunities like that. We're not guaranteeing anything. We don't know where these things can go either, but use your best judgment to look for those other things as well, because that is something that's real in crypto that you don't get in legacy finance really at all. So let's turn our attention to Hex. Let's turn our attention to Richard Hart, Pulse Chain. Maddie has a big Hex conference coming up this weekend, January the 6th, Friday through Monday, actually. I saw he released the actual schedule. It looks like Richard Hart is speaking next Monday, which would be the 9th. So, yes, first off, tell me a little bit about what this conference is, because I don't know too much about it, how many times it's happened before, what's kind of expected at it in general. And then ultimately what you, Ewok, kind of expect from Richard Hart, who's been relatively quiet recently. He's been tweeting and stuff here and there, but we haven't had hour-long Richard Hart live streams or anything. So tell me what you kind of expect from this whole thing.
Well, I think this is the third year for the Hex online conference, Hex
Mm.
Conference Live. It always goes January 6th through the 9th, falls on those days. It features a lot of speakers. Very well organized. Maddie does a fantastic job when he puts these things together, and they really do stick to the schedule. Some of the speakers may or may not, show up, but then they have other alternates that are always ready to go as well.
Mm.
So there's some good topics. There's some, people that give keynote speeches. I do believe Aubrey de Grey is on the third day. He is the gentleman from the Sense Foundation, who I believe
Oh,
he's
cool.
for the longevity.
Mhm.
Where the $27 million was donated to that. Now, I'm not sure if he's still with Sens or if he's kind of branched out on his own. There was a little bit of uh, trouble there with the whole people, and they were trying to allocate the funds that we donated in very other ways that were not,
Okay.
you know,
Okay.
whatever. Anyway,
Okay.
so that's a you'll have to tune in to watch Aubrey talk about that.
Okay.
But yeah, so but the main question is, yes, we're going to hear from Richard. I believe he's on for a good 2 or 3 hour block. He has an interview with Maddie first, and then he does his own keynote. Um, I'm not sure what he'll talk about. He has been, you're right, very quiet. He has stated several times that, yep, I'm waiting just like you are.
Mm.
Um, it would be a great time to announce the launch of version 3 of the testnet.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know that it's ready. We don't know. We have to wait and find out. But I think it would be pretty awesome. If he did give a few updates, that would be nice. People need to hear that. And, kind of like we talked about the last time, even if they're super technical, people can dissect that stuff later. But as long as they're hearing that work is being done, it's reassuring. It's been over a year, so they need to hear that. But there are other ones that are other speakers that are probably going to talk a lot about Hex. That's what it is. It's a Hex conference. You're not going to hear a lot about the Hedron or
Yeah.
anything like that.
Yeah.
I
So
know
Alex wasn't invited, actually.
I
Alex
did see
McWhorter.
that.
Not that, and I will clarify. I don't think he was acting offended or anything. Somebody asked him directly, and he just said no.
Yeah, he said he wasn't
Yeah.
asked. I did see that as well. But the guys from Maximus were. So
Oh, I
it's
didn't know that. Hmm.
um now Hedron and
They are
Maximus are a
different.
little bit different.
Yeah.
You need Hex to mint the Maximus. And it basically locks your Hex into a pool for you. So they are a little bit different. Maximus is a true Hex backed coin, where Hedron is kind of its own thing. Now it does have some, you know, parts of it with the HSIs where you can do mint the NFT of your Hex stake. But again, I don't want to get down that rabbit hole. They're just different. So
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, take a look at the schedule. If you're not sure, follow it's Maddie All In on Twitter. The schedule's been posted. We could probably link to it
Yeah. I'll
as
see if I can.
well.
Let's
Let's
see
see
if
if
I
I
can
can,
find it here.
I can look while you're talking. But yeah, I mean, it's good. It's a good to get people to um, to see what Hex is, to see some of the community. Um, yeah,
I
I think
can't
it's
find it.
pretty
I'm
cool.
just gonna let you handle that because you probably know where it is. But
Yep,
yeah,
I'm going to it.
it's gonna be interesting to see what comes out of that. I'm gonna shout out again. He actually watched one of our interview or one of our segments the other day. But Crypto7, shout out to him again. I really enjoy a lot of his thoughts. He has good thoughts, I think, on like short term price movement and stuff like that. And I think he has a good way of kind of sitting back and really observing what's going on with Hex, the Hex price, and some of the narratives and things like that. And there you go. What do you got there? There's the schedule. So I heard Crypto7 say the other day, and if we want to get more particular with the schedule, we can in a sec. But I want to ask you this, Ewok, because he said his hypothesis leading into this conference, he's basically all mainly sunshine and rainbows about this conference, that he thinks that, Richard could give some kind of an update, maybe like you just alluded to, that there could be a V3 announcement or something. And if that would happen, that's obviously going to, it is going to move the price up. I can't
for
imagine.
Sure.
Yeah. Even
I don't see
just
how
a
it couldn't.
test net, right? Even just a test net announcement at this point would really be bullish for the price, especially with how much it has fallen. But basically, Crypto7 was saying that he believes that the lows either could have already been in, and we revisited them the last couple of days, or we could see a new one by the beginning or end of that conference, and something that comes out of it, or something that Richard says, and him addressing the FUD. Because, let's face it, there's a lot of people that are fudded out because of the SEC stuff, which
there's all kind of stuff.
Right. Yeah. So any positive sentiment from him, or maybe like peeling back some layers to let people know, because there's all this, Richard's had this seized by the SEC and he's received this and everything. And it's like, the SEC doing due diligence and sending out notices and things like that isn't necessarily like a big deal. That's kind of like what they do. So what do you give to that?
They're on a fact-finding mission right now. There's nothing that is a cease and desist. There's nothing like that I know of anyway. Essentially, everything that people have received subpoenas for was just fact-finding. They're looking for information. They're looking to see that no one has been paid by anybody to talk about Hex. And they haven't. Pretty simple as that. Now, I've heard rumors that they've attempted to serve him papers, can't find him. Well, that's probably a good thing. He's in another country. I don't know if the SEC has the reach to get into other countries like that or not, or if his lawyers basically just said, don't answer. There's nothing for you to answer until they actually send a real subpoena to appear somewhere. There's nothing for you to worry about. Let them deal with, everybody else that has already answered and had their lawyers do, the legwork. It's not really worth it, I don't think so.
And to me, and I'm not like backing the SEC or anything here, I'm just saying, to kind of calm people down a little bit, is that, if you were them and you saw something like Hex appreciate as much as it has, and an enigmatic leader like that has fostered, bar none, without a doubt, the most fierce, I don't know by volume, but certainly the most fierce in their kind of attitudes and personalities in their community in crypto. Which, in crypto, community is a gigantic thing. It's not like, it's not like legacy markets. Like, community around a token or a movement is a huge thing in crypto, because people are kind of politically driven and about money in that way. But yeah, to me, it like makes sense that they would at least want to know a little bit. But let me ask you this, because I didn't want to necessarily get way too into the SEC thing, but with Crypto7 kind of hypothesized again, I wanted to ask you about the Hex price, because we have seen the last 2 weeks, right around the holidays, we were talking about all the Hex capitulation. There's been so many people that I don't even know if they're real or not. I think half the accounts are fake and it's just fake FUD. But people that are like, that's it, Richard's lost it, I'm finally selling my bags, just weird crap from maybe real people. So do you think that, I'll ask you a couple things here. Do you think definitively the Hex low is in? Yes or no? If not, what do you think it will be? And do you think Richard makes any effort or does something here that's positive enough that, just narrative wise in the short term, and maybe upticks the price of Hex?
I think we have seen a bottom price. I kind of mentioned it earlier. I think it will make a climb. I think then if Bitcoin does come back down, we may retest that level. I'm not saying it won't go back to that point at all, but I don't think it's going to get much lower, like I said, than a penny. I think that penny is our resistance line that I don't think it's going to go any lower than that. I could be wrong. Who knows? But there are some characters out there that are just trying to FUD the hell out of it. I really think they just want to buy lower. I think there are some pretty good size sharks out there that have bags that are selling them, and I'm not sure why. Maybe they're trying to create a chain reaction to save it and then buy back in lower, thinking that, hey, if I start this chain reaction, it might cause enough panic that we can get a better buy-in price than what we have now. They're just not smart, though, because they're doing like MetaMask swaps. They're not even using limit orders. They're not doing any. They're not even using like Uniswap. They're swapping right through MetaMask, which is causing extra fees on top of it. It's just some stupid stuff. I'm sorry, these guys. They probably made a nice chunk of change. They were in it early, and they maybe decided to harvest some taxes, take some profits, or do whatever. A lot of this stuff happened before the new year. In fact, there was one individual who sold like 120 million. And the price held up pretty good. At the same time, we saw some action from the Godwill. He staked like 2 billion Hex for like 45 days. It was crazy.
I saw that. Yeah, just short period.
Yeah, but this
he just keeps perpetually doing that.
Yeah.
Like there's big whales out there that just keep perpetually doing those short ones.
Yep, and they're not even really selling any of the profits. They keep restaking it.
Right.
I'm not sure what the reasoning is that why they do that and don't go a little bit longer. Maybe they want the access to the capital. If it needs to be, they have it within 45 days. Yeah. And they can do something if something were to happen. But yeah, I think we have seen a bottom. I really do. I don't see it going lower than a cent. We may go back down and test that level. Now, I don't think we've hit a penny yet. I think 1.3, 1.4 might have been as low as it's gotten.
I don't think it's even gotten there. No, I don't even think it's gotten there. I think 1.7 has been as low as it's been. I do think what you just said is a lot of people are talking about the support right around there, though, like 1.3 cents, 1.4 cents, which to me is also logical because 1.5 cents is like a major kind of sticking and resistance point, and it would make sense that you would get some kind of temporary wick down below that. Okay. But yeah, I don't think we've gone below 1.7 or so for Hex.
You're right. Anyway. You're right. Now there are some charts that have some pretty good size wicks down to like 1.6 something, but it's a high. It's like 168. Yeah, I mean, 6.1, half a dozen the other. So I don't think we're going to see much lower than that. If it goes to a penny, I think that's about as low as you're going to see.
Yeah, right around this 1.5 cent range. That's what hearing Crypto7 talk about that was really motivating me, frankly, even more to. I was already DCing heavily. I texted you whenever I've been texting you the last couple of weeks every time I make a buy in Hex because it's been so low. But like when it first, and I heard somebody else say this too, I forget who it was, but when it first was dipping below 2 cents, it's right around Christmas. I don't remember it, but that's all a blur at this point. But I put in a big buy order right below there because I was like, hey, dude, this is 2 cents, And then, of course, we've gone slightly below there, but I have a number of buys between, 1.7 and 1.9 right now. It's just, to me, it's like we spent so much time above that. We spent the most time seemingly between 3 and 3.5 cents. So much that I was thinking, you and I both were kind of thinking that was kind of right around that 3 cent range would be the low. But here we are settling here. I mean, I'm totally willing. I don't want to be, but I'm willing to be wrong that this 1.5 to 2 cent range is not the low. I mean, I'm okay committing some decent buy orders at these prices, and I'll suffer the consequences if it goes lower.
And honestly, that in 1.75 is actually 50% off of that 3.5. You know what I mean? So, that's interesting enough that we thought maybe that was it. And then it went 50%. Can we go another 50? I don't know. At 2 cents, I guess I would put it down to 1 cent. We're right around 1.9 now. Cents. So 50% off of here is a penny. So that would be another 50%. Be a hell of a buy.
And for because we are a stream and a show that kind of crosses all lines of crypto, I think here there may be people that are listening or watching that aren't even in Hex yet or still are speculative about it or whatever. But like if you continue to educate yourself and separate yourself from any feelings you might have about Richard Hart and focus on what the smart contract is, the prices that you can get Hex at right now, and even more importantly, the T shares that you can get because of where we are right now.
Yep.
You're probably never going to see anything like this again as far as Hex goes.
I think it's, kind of like we were talking about Pulse Chain and Pulse X being like probably a once in a lifetime opportunity. We were here once with Hex, but if it takes off again on the next bull run, I don't ever see it coming back to these levels. It's one of those, one of these levels where, when Bitcoin went to 30, it went up to $30 and then fell back to $2. It never ever got to that $2 level again, and it was there and it was gone forever. And I think that's kind of the area that we're in right now with Hex, is when it goes on that next cycle. And even if we do get up to $1, you're buying pennies for $1, or you're buying dollars for pennies. I mean, right now essentially is what you're doing. And I think the risk definitely outweighs the reward.
I'm with you. Yeah, I don't think after this cycle, I can't imagine us ever coming down here again. So it's definitely. I mean, if you get in now, it's not like being a day one Hexagon, but I mean, like if back to a conversation we've had the last couple of weeks too, if you've been around, had Hex, been holding it all through 2022. And still here now in DCAing, there's a lot of people, like I heard Crypto Coffee say, and you as well, because you're a day one Hexagon too, that, you get to call yourself an OG at that point because you've gone through all this garbage, and people are still doubting it left and right and more fierce than ever. So,
well, that's part of the bear market. We put up with that even worse. It was probably 5 times worse in the beginning because there were so many naysayers out there about the whole product itself. And like you just said, once you learn what it really is, what the smart contract is all about, once you learn that it's immutable code, you control the keys to, you make your own, you meet your own rewards. There's no middleman, all these things, Celsius, Luna, 3 Arrows Capital, FTX, all these things that are crashing and burning around us. And here are the people that we've been shouting from the rooftops saying, hey guys, over here, hello, we got this thing that there are no middlemen, that are stealing your money. Come over here. The Hex users unaffected hashtag is, still alive and kicking. So learn about it, do a little research, like Richard Hart, don't like Richard Hart. He has nothing to do with it. He is a good spokesperson. And when he says things, it definitely can affect people's moods. Not saying the price, but it definitely affects moods. It affects behaviors. So, give it a look, take a look, see what you got here, and
give it a look and seize the opportunity that we have right now, not just with Hex, but anything that you've researched well here in 2023. Because, while we are saying that we think a bottom is close and you want to scoop up everything that you can at those points, I think that most of this calendar year, you're still going to have many opportunities to buy a lot of these things at suppressed prices. But at the same time, kind of speaking out of both sides of my mouth, I wouldn't wait too long either. Because if we get to, if we're starting to see some pattern changes by like Q3 or so of this year, especially into Q4, which, I think we're at least well into the 20s again, 20Ks for BTC by Q4 this year. That's what I would expect anyway. You may have missed a boat on the lows by that point. So
you might have. And keep in mind with Hex, it is a low liquidity type thing. The train can leave the station pretty quickly. And when it does, you get left behind. You're still on the station platform waiting for it to come back. And again, it's not coming back for you. One big whale can affect the price like you've never seen before.
That's really the big lesson, I think, with crypto, whether the market is up or down, is like this market moves a million miles an hour, and you have to have you've got, in my opinion, and I know you agree, Ewok, you've got to be following it every single day like we do, watching other crypto content, keeping up with the news, even if
Yep.
it's dumb shit that you normally wouldn't want to pay attention to, and some of this Fed stuff and everything. It
Yeah.
all affects our market. So I want to be abreast of it as much as possible and know exactly what's going on to leverage it and take advantage of it. So,
Yep. I like
um,
breasts too.
yeah, I like a couple of breasts. So, I tell you what, I do not want to get into this tonight because we're up against an hour, and I don't want to talk about taxes right now.
Okay.
It's still early January, but let's table that because I
All
think
right.
throughout the rest of this month, and frankly, the rest of this quarter, we're gonna have plenty of time to talk about crypto taxes.
Sure.
We're not going to give obviously tax advice. We're going to give a couple of tips, like basically what we do, that we both find extremely useful, and frankly, in my opinion, as I'm going through it right now, simplifies the crypto tax process like a ton.
Yep.
So yeah, we will do that. So stay tuned. If you're excited about taxes and paying the man, stick around because we're going to talk about that on the show. I will give you an opportunity while we skipped over something that you wanted to get to. And I'll be honest with you, I didn't totally look into that story. It looked like I was blocked from one of the tweets for some reason. You DM'd me earlier today. What was this other thing that you wanted to get to here?
Oh, it was
It
wasn't a huge story, but it was a Bitcoin developer, Luke. I don't even know what Luke's.
Is that his full name? Luke? Luke?
No, he's a Bitcoin core developer. He had his Bitcoin wallet hacked and drained of over 200 Bitcoin, I think. And it's kind of weird. There's just a lot of weirdness going on with it. It reminds me of boating accidents. Because it happened right before the year was up. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what to take of. And then back in December of 2021, dude was asking for community donations. Again, he is a Bitcoin core developer who does it out of the goodness of his heart, I think. But again, how many updates have you really seen for Bitcoin? There's not much going on.
Right.
In the last, maybe they're doing a little bit with Lightning Network or this and that, but I still think there's more wrapped Bitcoin on Ethereum than there is in the Lightning Network. So just not a whole lot happening. I just thought it was interesting. The terminology that they used was
this is from real quick not to interrupt you. I'm sorry, but his tweet's actually from December 6th, 2021. I'm seeing that was shared by whoever retweeted what you sent me.
Right. So this tweet is from.
I see it.
So this is the one. So this is the guy. This says Bitcoin core developer Luke was soliciting for donations like he was broke in December of 21. That's what the tweet that I sent you.
You're right.
And that was when BTC was around 47,000. Fast forward to January 23, he has now lost 200 Bitcoin in a hack. Why was a person with $9 million seeking charity? That was the gist of the tweet itself. Luke Dash Jr.
I was just looking at his original tweet.
Yeah. So that was what this guy was talking about is, why was this guy who had all these Bitcoin, he was kind of seeking charity, and it was kind of a shady deal. But then, you look more into it, and they call the security that they had, was it PG? Oh my, PGP, which is short for pretty good privacy.
Right.
I'm like, well, I think, and then I looked into that a little bit more, and I think it was more of a, that is like a company or the actual software itself. I'm getting lost here in the weeds trying to find.
Yeah, there's a lot of angles to this.
Yeah. So, anyway, I found it funny that it was just at the very end of the year. where you hear all these people talk about losing my Bitcoin in a boating accident.
Yeah.
Yeah, who knows? At one point, Trevon found himself getting hacked too for a lot of money. I don't know if you remember that or not. It was over 100 Bitcoin as well, stolen out of his wallet. And, a couple weeks later, he ends up with a new car, bought a new house.
Whoa. I didn't know that.
Yeah. So, no hate on these guys. They do what they do. If you can get away with it, yeah, more power to you. Just hope you don't get caught,
Yeah. Yeah, I hear you. I'll tell you what, just speaking of Trevon, shout out to him because I've really been loving some of the Zen stuff he's been putting out there. And he's got Jack on his show every now and then, which has been pretty cool. And he just had him on the other day, and just hearing some of Jack Levin's like previous companies and everything he did at Google and everything, it really gave me more perspective into just how smart of a guy he is. So it's really
Jack
interesting.
or
Jack,
Trevon?
yes. Yeah, well, I like Trevon a lot. I'd probably have to say Jack is more intelligent.
Yeah.
No shade on Trevon.
No shade on
who I
Trevon.
love.
Trevon's he does his work. He does his research. I
He's been around a long time.
Man. He's been around a long time. He knows the ins and the outs. And he's good at marketing himself, his things. And Trevon knows what's up.
Yeah, he's been around. He as far as like crypto, I guess, content creators on YouTube, he's the closest thing to an OG I think that we've got. So
yeah, I
definitely
agree.
appreciate him. Well, yeah, that's gonna wrap it up, I think, for us. We would, like I said, we definitely want to get to the tax stuff, and we will. We've got like till April to do that. I don't think anybody in crypto is in a rush to file taxes. But any final thoughts from you, Ewok, about the market here, the Hex Conference? Anything else you want to add tonight?
No, man, I think we covered it. Yeah, like I said, if it's the Maddie's conference, I do want to plug that again for him.
Yeah.
He's done some amazing work for the entire community. He put together the conference that was live in Vegas that I was at in March of last year. Actually, the last time I shaved at that conference. So yeah, give it a watch. Pop in for the live stream. Show them some love, like the videos, and leave some comments or retweet it for them. Just get the word out there. If you are a Hexican and you want as many eyes that aren't in Hex on Hex, there's a lot of intelligent people that'll be speaking. You got Crypto Coffee and Hodl Dog, and
I like Hodl Dog a lot. Hey, that's an underrated channel. I know he's not like out there as much, but he has a lot of good old Hex videos, like instructional stuff.
He does.
Really
He's
good.
got all the old stuff, and I send people to him, even though he is Swiss. There's a little bit of a well, what I'm saying is there's a language barrier.
I got you. I just thought you weren't a fan of the Swiss or something.
No. Hodl Dog's awesome. He was actually in Vegas.
Yeah.
I got to meet him. He's like 7 feet tall, so it was kind of funny. The Ewok standing beside the Hodl Dog.
Oh yeah.
That was pretty funny. But yeah, so there's a lot of good speakers that will have a lot of information. You got the guys from Crypto Sparbook, Patrick, who is Hex Lion, and Abit. Those guys are pretty awesome. They're the ones that did the 555 tour all over the country.
Oh yeah,
handing out the free Hex. There's just a lot of good people. There's a ton of amazing people in this community, as there is, but you're going to get to see a lot of different personalities that you normally may not catch on a stream. So pop in, like I said, show them some love, subscribe to Maddie's channel, and yeah, that's about all I got.
Definitely, I agree. Yeah, look out for that. It will be interesting to see. I'm really just looking forward to what Richard does have to say and kind of what we see with the Hex price. This next week is going to be interesting. Like I said, I don't necessarily, I'm not married to everything Bob Lucas says, but he keyed January 10th as an important date. The rest of this month, we've been talking about how much we're excited for this first quarter of 2023, just to set the tone for the year and see where we go. But yeah, we both think we're going to be licking our chops here in a couple of weeks, maybe seeing some new low prices. But I definitely could see a scenario where we are seeing the Hex lows or very, very close to it right now, which usually Hex has been a predecessor to what we might see from the broader crypto market. So it would make sense to me right now, if we're seeing the lows for Hex at the moment, for BTC to maybe dump in late January or so. So let's keep our eyes on the prize, everybody, and be patient. We will be here same time, same channel next Wednesday, January the 11th at 8 p.m. Eastern. Is that the 11th? Yeah. But yeah, hit us up. I am on YouTube and Twitter at Broke BOI Crypto. Ewok is at Crypto Ewok, right?
Crypto Ewok. Yep. And I put Matty Allen's link, his YouTube link in the chat there for everyone. So
there you go. Awesome. Well, again, everybody, keep your eyes open. Keep your eyes on the prize. This is going to be an interesting year in crypto, and there should be opportunities abound if you're just paying attention. So for Crypto Ewok, this has been Broke Boi Crypto. We will catch you